The book of Genesis is both a spiritual cornerstone and a source of intellectual curiosity. It holds answers to life's most profound questions while simultaneously presenting mysteries that seem impossible to resolve. For centuries, believers, theologians, and skeptics alike have debated its stories. From creation to humanity's fall, from genealogies to divine covenants, Genesis is as much a book of faith as it is a book of enigmas. Today, we'll explore some of these mysteries and controversies, dig deeper into the contradictions within Genesis, and uncover the lessons they may teach. As we delve into these topics, feel free to share your thoughts, questions, or interpretations in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Genesis begins with one of the most iconic verses in Scripture. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1 verse 1. It's a majestic opening, but what follows often confuses readers. Genesis chapters 1 and 2 seem to present two different creation stories. In Genesis 1, creation is structured and methodical. Over 6 days, God creates light, separates the waters, forms land, fills the earth with plants and animals, and finally creates humanity, male and female, in His image. Genesis 1 verse 27. This chapter emphasizes the grandeur of God's power and the orderliness of creation. But in Genesis 2, the tone shifts. Instead of a systematic process, creation feels more intimate. God forms Adam first, plants a garden in Eden, creates animals for companionship, and then forms Eve from Adam's rib. Genesis 2 verses 7 to 22. The sequence of events is noticeably different from Genesis 1. So why do these two chapters differ? Some scholars suggest that Genesis 1 reflects a cosmic, big-picture view of creation, while Genesis 2 provides a closer, more personal perspective. Others argue that these chapters were written by different authors or traditions, later compiled into one book. Regardless of the explanation, this contradiction invites deeper reflection. Is the Bible's purpose to provide a scientific timeline, or is it a spiritual narrative that reveals truths about God and humanity? What do you think? Are these two accounts complementary, or do they create tension in the text? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The story of Adam and Eve in Genesis 3 is one of the Bible's most famous narratives, yet it raises as many questions as it answers. God places Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and commands them not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But they are tempted by a crafty serpent and disobey, leading to their expulsion from the garden. What exactly was the forbidden fruit? The Bible never specifies. Tradition often depicts it as an apple, but the fruit could symbolize something far deeper: humanity's choice to disobey God and seek autonomy. This story is also mysterious because it introduces the serpent, whose identity isn't fully explained in Genesis. Was it simply a talking animal, or a manifestation of Satan? Revelation 12 verse 9 later identifies the serpent as the devil, but this connection isn't explicit in Genesis itself. And then there's the consequence of Adam and Eve's sin. The curse extends not just to them but to all of humanity. Pain, suffering, and death enter the world. Many people wrestle with the fairness of this punishment. Why should all of humanity suffer for the actions of two individuals? This leads to the doctrine of original sin in Christian theology, but not everyone agrees with this interpretation. What's your take? Do you see the story as literal history, a metaphor for human nature, or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. The story of Noah's Ark in Genesis 6-9 is one of the most dramatic narratives in the Bible. Humanity has become so corrupt that God regrets creating them. The Lord regretted that He had made human beings on the earth, and His heart was deeply troubled. Genesis 6 verse 6. But wait, how can an all-knowing God regret something? Wouldn't He have foreseen humanity's sinfulness from the start? This question challenges our understanding of God's nature. The logistics of the flood also spark questions. How did Noah gather 2 of every animal? How did they survive together on the ark for over a year? And where did all the floodwaters go afterward? Some interpret the story literally, suggesting that it describes a historical, global flood. Others see it as a symbolic tale, similar to the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, which also features a great flood. Another issue is the morality of the flood. If God is merciful, why destroy almost all life on earth? Couldn't there have been another way to cleanse the world of sin? What do you think? Is the flood a story of judgment, redemption, or something else? Share your insights in the comments. Genesis shifts focus to Abraham, chosen by God to be the father of many nations. God's covenant with Abraham in Genesis 15 is one of the Bible's most important moments, promising descendants as numerous as the stars and the land of Canaan as their inheritance. Yet, even this story raises questions. In Genesis 15 verse 13, God tells Abraham that his descendants will be enslaved for 400 years. But in Exodus 12 verse 40, the timeline is given as 430 years. Why the discrepancy? Scholars suggest that one number could be symbolic or rounded, but this has been a point of debate for centuries. Abraham's personal actions also provoke controversy. Twice, he lies about Sarah being his sister, Genesis 12 and 20, putting her in compromising situations. Yet God remains faithful to Abraham. What does this say about God's grace and the human tendency to falter? What do you think about Abraham's story? Does it inspire faith, raise doubts, or a bit of both? Let us know in the comments. The book of Genesis is not a simple read, it's a profound text that wrestles with humanity's deepest questions. Its mysteries, controversies, and contradictions invite us to think critically and spiritually. What are your thoughts on Genesis? Which of its stories do you find most fascinating or puzzling? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments below. If you enjoyed this exploration, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking biblical content. Your support helps us continue to create content that inspires and engages. Thank you for watching.